Our first hamstring stretch that we're going to go over is the kneeling toe raised hamstring stretch. So this is going to be, as the name suggests, a kneeling stretch. It can be done in a standing position as well, but you will need to lean your leg on something, on a table, on a chair. When performing this stretch kneeling, the way we're about to perform it, you won't need to prop up your leg on anything. Your heel will actually just be resting on the ground itself. Your knee will be resting on the ground itself, the floor itself. So, as always, make sure that the floor, the surface that you're working on is comfortable so that won't inhibit the efficiency of your stretch. This is going to start in a kneeling position. I'm going to start by stretching out my left leg, my left hamstrings. So that means that my right knee that's going to stay on the surface, on the floor here, will be the stabilizing leg. So how I'm going to start stretching my hamstrings is simply by straightening out my leg. Once my leg is straight and my whole body is relying on my right knee now to stabilize my body, you want your left leg, the leg that's being stretched, to be as loose as possible, but also, as the name suggests, something to pay attention to is the toe raised. The stretch is called the kneeling toe raised hamstring stretch. Make sure that at any given moment while performing this stretch, while getting into the position, leaving the position, your toes are always pointing towards the ceiling, and always you're trying to flex you're always in a dorsiflex position, bringing your toes towards your chest and at the same time trying to touch the ceiling with them. You do not want your toes to be relaxed and heading towards the floor or going sideways or in random positions. You want to be in control of your toes because, and the reason why I'm emphasizing this, the reason why the name of this stretch emphasizes this is because it's hugely important to performing this stretch correctly. So the way we're going to perform this stretch is straighten out our leg. The leg just being in this straight position, knee locked out and toes pointing towards the ceiling, you will feel that hamstring stretch immediately. Now, how we're going to regulate the stretch? First, we're going to make sure that we're actually stable and have the ability to regulate and intensify this stretch if we chose to. So make sure you're stable using your right leg, your right knee, using your foot behind you that's touching the floor to stabilize yourself. It's important to make sure that you're stable so that you can free your mind and focus on the stretch itself and performing the stretch correctly. Once you have that knee locked out, that dorsiflex and toes pointing towards the ceiling and towards you, and having your core tucked in and ready to be fired up, the only thing you need to do here is lower your chest towards the toes that are facing you and are trying to touch the ceiling. That's how you regulate this stretch. As simple as that. Something that people get confused about when stretching hamstrings or when doing this stretch specifically is putting too much emphasis on using your hands to try and reach your toes. It is true that if I try and touch my toes now with my hands, I will feel my hamstring stretching. A way more efficient way of performing the hamstring stretches and by getting more out of the stretches will simply be not to focus on your hands, but the main focus should be on two things. Number one is keeping your toes straight, pointing towards you and pointing towards the ceiling. Number two is keeping your back as straight as it can be and just lowering your chest towards your toes. That is the best regulator and most efficient way of performing this stretch. Once you're in a position that you held and you're comfortable with and you're ready to intensify the stretch, the only thing you have to do is focus on bringing your chest even lower towards your toes. As simple as that. Being in a correct position with your back straight and not even being close to your toes is a lot better than having a loose core, a loose back, and touching your toes with your hands. So focus on those two things and prioritize them. Showing you now from another angle, I'm going to go back to stretching my left hamstrings. So I'm going to make sure that my right leg is helping me stabilize my entire body on this surface. I'm going to stretch out my left hamstring. My left leg is forward now. I'm always focusing on stabilizing myself over here. I'm focusing on that dorsiflex, bringing those toes towards my chest and pointing them up towards the ceiling. Already now I feel the stretch all the way from my heel up till my buttocks. And now to focus more specifically about the hamstrings and get the most out of this stretch for my hamstrings, all I'm going to focus on is keeping my back straight, keeping my core tucked in, and simply lowering my chest towards my toes. Once I'm in a position that I feel the tension and I'm comfortable, I'm going to stop there. I'm going to breathe through it. I'm going to let it do its thing. And once I'm comfortable to intensify the stretch, I'm going to use my chest as the regulator and simply lower myself more towards my chest, towards my toes. Lower my chest towards my toes. Once you're finished here, slowly climb back with your chest to that neutral position. Tuck my left heel in so that I'm stable, relieve some stress off my stabilizing leg. And that's how you perform the kneeling toe-raised hamstring stretch.